Leoni Liu, congratulations. You are one of our scholarship winners for the National Spectrum Consortium's first annual Spectrum Scholars Program. I'm so proud that you've made it this far in your career and that you've applied for this scholarship, and very excited to have you here today.
Thank you very much. I'm also very excited, and thank you so much for providing this excellent opportunity for women in spectrum and wireless domain. Thank you so much.
Great. So, would you mind just telling everyone a little bit about why you became interested in electrical engineering specifically and where you are on that journey right now?
Yeah, so right now I'm a master's student at Columbia University studying electrical engineering, and I'm also I was an undergrad at Columbia University. So I have long been knowing that I'm very interested in engineering since high school because I very enjoy the sense of accomplishment when solving problems with the knowledge I've learned. So why electrical engineering is probably during my high school when the internet just came into my life, and I found it's such an easy way to access to knowledges. So actually I self-study a lot of things such as like Python and Java through the internet, and I think it's a very important thing, can benefit us all. And even during the COVID era, everything is online, so it's actually an indispensable thing in our life. So I decided to study wireless communication back in my, I would say, sophomore year. That's the key point. I decided to study the wireless communication.
Well, fantastic. And as a graduate student, are you involved in particular research with wireless comms or?
Yeah, I actually have been working at the wireless and mobile networking lab at Columbia University since my junior year in undergraduate studies. So it has almost been like 2 years for now working in the research lab. And I would say doing research in the lab is very different from in the class because you are solving real life problems and tackling technical difficulties in the real life. So I started my research by taking measurements for antenna for the Cosmos testbed. And then I started to work on two different research projects. The first one is called Photoplex Wireless from integrated circuits to networks. So basically it's a research about the full duplex technology. So usually we use half duplex. That means you are either transmitting or receiving. So full duplex allows you to transmit and receive at the same time and at the same frequency. So you are using exactly the same channel to transmit and receive at the same time. So that has the potential to double the data rate or the throughput of wireless communication. So I think it's very important for us to utilize the spectrum more effectively because we are kind of having less resource in the spectrum because everything is actually using the wireless technologies, from the electronic appliances in your home, like airplanes in the air or like ships in the ocean. Everything is using the spectrum, so it's so crowded. So I think it's very important to utilize the spectrum better. So full duplex might be a way to solve it. So my specific role in that research project is the digital self-interference cancellation algorithm. So self-interference is a special thing about the full duplex technology because the two antennas are transmitting and receiving at the same time. So you are not only listening to what other people are sending you, you're also listening to yourself. So the self-interference is the key difficulty for this technology. And I'm tackling this problem in the digital domain to trying to design algorithm, creating filters and using channel estimation technology to trying to cancel this interference. And another
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Another project I'm working on is millimeter wave radar for weather forecast, I call it. So it's basically using the 77 gigahertz millimeter wave radar to detect weather conditions. So I conduct experiments for this radar with exposure to like heat, wind, or like moisture. This is pretty meaningful, especially for high frequency radios like 5G, 6G technologies, because those radar are very sensitive to weather changes, like either a gust of wind or like rain will affect its performance significantly. So researching into the performance of these high frequency radar will help further research into like creating algorithm to provide more stable connections with this high frequency radar. So these are the two research projects I've been working on in the past 2 years.
Wow, in 2 years, that's pretty amazing. You certainly have a great grasp on your technical field. I'm just really stunned at how well spoken you are as well. For engineering, it's about what you know, and it's also about how you communicate it. So that was really exciting to hear. Overall, like generally speaking, what are your career goals very quickly, and how do you plan to stay, involved in wireless spectrum, and spectrum and wireless communications after you graduate?
Mm-hmm. So actually, I'm right now wrapping up my study for my master degree, and next year I will be joining Qualcomm as a 5G modem and firmware engineer. So firmware, I think it's a very important connection between hardware and software. So working on firmware will give me like a more hope, like give me a whole picture about how hardware and software work collectively for the whole wireless communication system. And I am thinking about designing new algorithm that save energy or like consume ultra low power for the chip, or like creating resistive algorithm that gives more stable connections for either it's 5G communication or other wireless communication. And also I know Qualcomm has a lot of research fields such as like 6G and 7G technologies, satellite communications, or like even quantum computing. I think those are all like fascinating area that we are yet to explore. So I am also thinking of those, considering those opportunities. And I think I could, or I might pursue a PhD degree if needed, to get more depth in those fields. And I'm pretty sure I will always stay very closely connected with the spectrum and wireless communications, because that's where my interests lie.
Well, that's really fantastic, and Qualcomm's very lucky to have you. Um, it's myself, I've been an engineer for a lot of decades, and I have a PhD in electrical engineering. And, we've always been struggling with this quintessential question about young ladies going into the field. And so, what do you think we can do, or what can the ecosystem do to try to get more women involved in engineering, spectrum, electrical engineering, and that type of thing? Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, I've long been exploring this problem because from my personal point of view, the gender ratio in electrical engineering, not even say wireless communication, like even electrical engineering, I think the ratio in the US is like 7-1, and it's even worse back to my home country, China. So one reason I think is very important is even back in primary or middle school, a lot of people often have the stereotype that women are better in English or literature, and like
Mm,
boys are better in math and science, those like more logic subjects.
mm.
So I would say probably some girls will be intimidated based on this stereotype. So I think we can do more in propaganda for those women to join electrical engineering or like engineering in the future. So I think one thing we can do is trying to organize panels or workshops in high schools, or like in freshman year or like sophomore year. We can collaborate with those student societies, such as we like Society for Women in Engineering or like Women in Science, to hold those panels or workshops to let them know there is actually a field called wireless communication that is very exciting and very welcome for women engineers. And when the girls or like the women see there are already so many people involved in the domain, and it's actually a very meaningful and an interesting domain to involve in the future, there's more probability for them to get involved in studying electrical engineering or communication.
Well, that's wonderful. It is, something that we, as an ecosystem, have been struggling with for a long time, because I don't know if you know this fact, but in the United States, only out of all engineering students, only 0.7% go into electrical engineering. And
Oh,
that's both men and women. So we really need a lot of people who are interested in math, who are interested in electrical engineering. We really got to build that pipeline. So I appreciate your comments. Well, we look forward to seeing you at the 2022 IEEE Milcom event. At that event, we're going to have 7, maybe 10 women who have spent decades in the engineering field to welcome you and thank you and shake your hand. Something combined in the neighborhood of 200 years of engineering experience on that panel for you to help launch your next endeavors. Thanks again for applying and congratulations on the scholarship.
thank you so much. And very looking forward to the precious opportunity in late November.